Hello, welcome to Studio Talks. My name is James Swift.
I'm Josh McNorton, and our guest today is...
I am Tom Ashley of Snail and Infants. How are you guys?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm very good. Well, my coffee's getting me through.
Same. How are you doing in the lockdown? What advice do you have for people?
I'm doing good now because I've just got a job. So been there like 2 weeks, so that's just been like loads of stress off my head, because before that I was just wallowing in a hole, just like sitting in the room not doing anything, just applying for the occasional job and stuff, and thank God one came through. But yeah, not handling it the best like everyone else has. Some people have been really productive, but if I was to say I had any advice for anyone, it'd probably just be productive. That's the only thing I can really say that I've done, is like I've gotten a few like creative endeavours out of the way, like written a few Salt Snail songs with the guys over the internet, and like put together like a little TV show that I'm working with a couple of dudes on the label.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
I think the thing that gets me through is, I was saying this today, like if you're in a really, really tough time, the positives to look at it from, it's going to get better. If you're at the bottom of the hill, like you can only go up the hill. It sounds like it's one of those corny sayings, but it stands true to me. Like it makes sense. Like you start to, like, you haven't got any money, or like you haven't got your own place and you haven't got this job, like, so you're doing nothing all the time, and then, you know, like one thing happens and then it's just like a domino effect and all the other things start to fall into place. And like I speak from experience of like living my life, like none of my life has fallen into place for me to get where I am now, which is not very far. Like I'm not very career minded, so I'm the jobs I always go for are always bar jobs and stuff like that. That end in like, you know, like 5, 6 in the morning, hence why I'm struggling to function at the moment.
How did you get involved with the studio?
So I think it was back in 2009. I could get the year wrong, but I was in a band called Airplane Flies High, and a band with my mate Liam called Springbok, and it opened up after like a 5-year hiatus, and before that, where it had already been open 5 years, I think. And it was so Jackie opened it up. Steve was there. Tank was there. I'm trying to remember the other faces, like Pete Muldoon, a couple of those guys. And I think we got asked to perform in one of the rooms, room 4, just as like a big opening day where they were just like letting everyone come in and do it. So I think Steve must have asked Jack from that band if we wanted to come down and play and just like make noise all day long while people like poke their heads in, basically.
Yeah.
And it just went from there. Like we just realised it was a really good place to practice. Then realised it was a really good place to put on gigs. And I think when I turned 18, Tank, because they just know me for that long, Tank just said, "Do you want a job behind the bar?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds like fun." So I ended up doing like events behind the bar for like a couple of years.
What inspired you to pursue music?
It was a very poignant insult that my mum gave me, and rightly so, because my brother Ashley, he's a really prolific musician. Like he knows piano, he knows cello, he play flute, guitar. Like he can just play everything, and because he's a D now, musical director. So he sort of composes music, and he stand at the front, like waving the baton. He's the conductor and stuff. I think he's 4 years older than me. So when we were kids and he'd been playing piano for a few years, I was just making fun of him for playing piano. Because it's like, that's stupid, and like just teasing him. And it was getting on his nerves. And my mum turned around to me and she said, "Tom, will you shut up? You can't play a CD." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, yeah, I can't. I don't really do anything. So that's apart from my dad buying me an acoustic guitar to follow in his footsteps and do a bit of that, I just decided to tick a drums box at like a rock school in, I think it was Holton College. So then I just started learning drums that way, because I didn't want to play guitar or anything, and because I thought like probably have a little bit more of a personality if I did something instead of just making fun of other people for what they do.
I do think it's a brother's job to do those types of things where it's for no reason criticised what they do. I do it with both my brothers either side. Like it's kind of your job, isn't it, to be like, "Hey, you're doing something productive. I'm going to push you."
Yeah, I'm going to tear it down. Yeah. I'm going to You've built a sandcastle there. That's nice.
Yeah. It's exactly that, isn't it? It's standing on your brother's sandcastle.
I'm just going to introduce my giant feet real quick. Bigger boot, all of your sandcastle.
How did AAA affect you and your relationship with music?
I guess AAA was like my first, organisation. I'm not quite sure. It was like the label that sort of went round. If it's still what you use now, it's like for the.
No, not so much. No. That was just, we kind of stopped that in 2015 when the funding kind of stopped for that, and it just moved on to just being the studio. But yeah, that was just that era between 2009 to 2015, something like that, where it's.
Yeah, it's because I just sort of remember it as a label and a sort of group of faces and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I was in it as well because I was in like the AAA under 19s club or something like that.
Yeah.
I think so. Basically, we didn't have to pay for practice, something along those lines. Yeah. I guess that's where it affected me the most, is like free practice and stuff. It was like it was a contender to the Brindley Centre over in Runcorn, which is where me and Liam were from, and all my school, all my friends. So it gave us an excuse to come over to Widnes and use that place, because it wasn't like we weren't all of a sudden paying £12 every weekend to share one drum kit that 4 other bands want to go and share on. And like, it's like, no, we get our own room and we're sort of looked after because we're young and we're part of the community, and that's the way we're seen here. It definitely gave me like the net in that network, I guess, of like knowing people like Steve, Stuart.
I think
Jackie.
I think it's, as you say, where I think it's the best version of a beginner's course, if that makes sense, of this is what the music industry represents and what it means, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it gives you a bit of recording, bit of practice, bit of promotion, bit of gigs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's just all in the opposite direction. Like, usually all the producers are trying to steal your money out of your back pocket and like not get you any rights for your songs, whereas AAA was like, be an artist, like we'll put you out there, like.
It is that, isn't it?
Did a couple of, if someone wants paying to record me, like a lot of money, that kind of thing.
So, what was the origin of Springbok?
I'm trying to think if we were in a band before we did this, but basically me and like my best mate Liam from secondary school, we went through a couple of phases of doing music together, like doing really bad Slipknot covers and stuff like that, alongside while I was in Aeroplane Flies High at the time. And yeah, it's one of those things I can't really put my finger on, like where we started, because we always knew each other. I think one day we didn't like each other when we met in school, because like he was like what you'd call a child and I was what you'd call a mosher. And we used to just be vicious at each other across the classroom, until one day we realised that like we'd make each other laugh. And then like I remember him one day, this is like right in high school, he messaged me being like, oh, I'm into rock music now, like I love Fall Out Boy. and then he just put on his own like stuff like that. And he picked up a guitar, and we got together, and it took us up to a few cities. He managed it, like, but I think since I've gone to uni, it's not that I'm at uni anymore, but it sort of took on a hiatus that stayed high. If that makes any sense.
No, I know what you mean. I think every time I ever hear the word hiatus, I think that's not coming back.
How important do you think it is for a band to have a good drummer?
I'll use Pete Muldoon's advice that he gave to me about 8 years ago at the studio, and he said a band is only as good as its drummer. And I see what it means from a function perspective. Like, depends if you want to like write tight music, which most people do. If the drums aren't like tight within themselves, then everything else is just going to sound loose. I think that's just like, it's kind of just how music works. It depends what the function is. You obviously just don't want any bad musician in your band.
No. That's kind of a given, isn't it? But
yeah.
No, I just think that, like, as you say, like drummers, it is very much the foundation of the band, isn't it? Like, if it's loose, then the rest of it won't.
You're keeping the tempo for everyone. Anyway.
So on top of that, what advice would you give to people who want to be a good drummer?
Yeah. My advice for drummers if you're starting out, is just always make sure you've got a kit like with you, like it's at your home set up and stuff, for like, or like even if you've not done that, like that you can play your drum kit like any day of the week and have it be like as convenient as picking up a guitar. Like most people who own guitars, like it's on your back wall, like you can just go and pick it up, and that's how playing your instrument should be. It should be like something you can just express like all the time. And I haven't had that set up for years. And when I play the drums now, I can almost feel the lack of progress that I've made over the past few years.
Right. Okay.
I mean, a very serviceable drummer is what I'll say. Like, I can really play. Like, I've really got some skills, and a lot of stuff's down. My basic is all down, and I've somewhat mastered the drums, like for all intents and purposes. Like, I'd probably pass a grade 8, but at the same time, I'm still missing some of these really fine abilities that drummers should have. Like I've got no sort of tact on like how I would do a drum roll, like a classic march roll. Like I still can't do that because I've never bothered to try it. My mum tried it for about 20 minutes and she got it down, and she doesn't play the drums at all. And listen to Dream Theater. If you're a drummer, listen to Dream Theater. That's all I'm going to say. Probably more scholarly references than that, but it opens up your brain. It's like proper neural pathways open up all the time if you listen to Dream Theater and you're trying to learn drums, because your brain just like what is happening there? I can hear like 4 different time signatures all happening at the same time, and they're all changing. But it loosens you up if you can play like a good crazy Dream Theater song all the way through, and then you'll get onto the next one. You'll start learning loads and loads of good little tricks, musical tricks, as well as just fancy stuff.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
What is the origin of Salt the Snail?
So it was kind of a little Widnes Runcorn supergroup that just ended up being an ordinary band. So me and Liam from Springbok was invited to a practice with me, Christian, Mike, and a lad called Tim. And Christian, Mike and Tim had a band called Dirty Vagrants they were in. Christian rings me up one day and says like, our drummer's leaving, and we've got these like important shows coming up, like do you want to come and play for them? And I was like, I can't believe I've been asked. Like I absolutely love Dirty Vagrants, so I have a bit the hand off to go and do that. And then we just Springbok wasn't doing an awful lot of stuff at the time, so we decided we were just going to sort of merge both bands, what was left of them, to try and see if we could do something new. So it was like their band with a replaced drummer, and then Liam brought into the fold, but he wasn't playing guitar. He was doing this Game Boy thing that he's done at the studio before, where he basically programs music into like a Game Boy. I can't remember if he made the software or if he.
I know he's heavily into that stuff, isn't he? Like actually physically making the.
He's a bit of a wizard. It's one of those things I can never be bothered to learn how to do any of that. No. But it's really, really cool. Like, you should carry on doing performances with that. But yeah, it sort of didn't work out. I think me, Christian, and Mike realised that we were the only 3 that really wanted to do this type of music. We had a few practices in a row where it was just us 3 turning up, and we all looked around the room and we were like, this is it. Like, if we're doing something new in this direction, I think it's us 3. Like, we're the ones that have got our heads in the game, and it's where we're getting somewhere and we're having fun, and it's just snowballed from there. Yeah, Christian's sort of managed it because he's got experience managing bands before, and his personality, his presence and stuff like that is probably dragged the rest of the band through its career. But we're getting better and better. We keep like a big blob. We keep absorbing new members. I think we're officially like a 5-piece now, and we started out as a 3-piece. So
that's really cool.
It was a little bit of a band that didn't happen, turning into that eventually did happen. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant! So the song that I'll put in here, what is? Would you like to introduce the song? What's it about?
The song's called Mate. As in, like, when people do things like anything that's like out of line, like
okay,
someone just like you hold the door open for someone and they just like
Really
walk
naughty.
through it and don't even look at you. It's
okay.
like he like that's the use of the word anyway. But
Okay.
we've got a video for it I'm sure it was filmed over a year ago now. Liam Powell from doing it at uni, who did our Spanish announce table video. He made the video for it. That's very anti sort of social media, or being glued to your phone. Basically, it'll speak for itself. It's not too complicated. It sort of beats you over the head with this theme, but it's a really cool video that I'm not the strategist in Salt the Snail. I get given a time and a place and I turn up and make magic. But Christian and George really know what they're doing with like releasing and stuff and when not to release. So May would have been out by now if it wasn't for COVID and trying to avoid the river of stuff that just got like put out when the lockdown happened. So yeah, it's called Mate, and it's a slow, sludgy one for Salt the Snail.
How do you write songs as a band?
Salt the Snail's a freaky band in this regard, and we all feel like the luckiest people in the world to be like this. And it's one piece of advice that I do usually dish out to people, because I'm not usually like walking the streets preaching to people about anything. Like I'm not a voice of wisdom at all. But my biggest advice for people is to, if you start in a band, find people who you like and like you're on the same wavelength with, that you created with at the same time before you start writing music. So we just happened, I think that's kind of the origins of the band. That's why we're a band now, because with the three of us it just clicked, we just worked. So that's probably where the process starts, because it's different to my other band Infants. We kind of just, Mike will throw a riff out, I'll throw a drum beat out, and Christian will probably just put some lyrics over it in about 5 minutes. The way Spanish Announce Table got written is it kind of just got played as you hear it now. Like Mike just started playing that riff, I started playing the drums, did a bit of like an intro, like this is the verse, like it's coming in, and then like landed, and I'm pretty sure Christian just like heard it a couple of times and then just started singing the entire song over it. I think we can afford not to write a big epic song that's got like a story and flow. It's like a pop punk band, so we don't have to rely on too much structure in our songs. So we literally just throw all of that out the window, and we just kind of go, oh, we've got a good riff, we've got another good riff, all those lyrics you've put over at Christian, they're tight. Yeah, that's a song. Like, put it in the mail kind of thing. It's just done. Our recipe is not caring. We don't care enough. That's what makes our songs listenable.
So what is the formation of Infants?
Infants is it's a band that got asked to join a couple of years ago when their drummer left. So it's funny because it's fun for me because like Christian and Craig are two guys that run Society of Losers, which is the label that both bands are on. But them two are like the two what's it called, Koch brothers or something like that. It's kind of fun that they're both the front of the two bands. But yeah, Craig I've known from Society of Losers because he put on the shows. He sort of built it through still on two hands from the ground up. It's Craig's kind of music. It's Craig's Smashing Pumpkins and his Nirvana all coming out, and he writes songs and he throws it at me and Jack, and sometimes me and Jack the bassist throw things at him and it eventually changes. But it's opposite to Salt the Snail, where like anything goes and it's hard to keep a lid on what does get written because we'll just write absolutely anything and call it a song.
Is there a difference between writing for Salt the Snail and the Infants?
Yeah, it's massively different. It's kind of because Salt the Snail literally is just like everyone's trying to throw their ingredients in, and you get like a healthy mix of something that we try and chop the end and the beginning off so that we've only got like 60 seconds worth of song, and it's just like, yeah, that'll do. But Infants is very artistic. Like Craig knows what he wants and stuff like that, but you know, he's open-minded enough to like, I'll throw like a weird drum beat out and he'll be like, that's cool, that's going in the song. Same with Jack. Yeah, it's a nice little unit that I joined because I was like, yeah, you've got like shows and stuff, because I know Ken's leaving, and I'll sort you out. And I kind of had the intention of like sorting them out for a bit and then leaving. And then I think it got about 6 months into it, and then I just realised I was having fun. It's not. I wouldn't say fun defines it compared to Salt the Snail. Salt the Snail's definitely the more fun band. It's just its own amalgam. I really enjoy hanging out with them, and the music's it's fulfilling to write some like really music with some emotional sort of weight to it.
The time you played at the studio when it was the circle and you were like in the middle. Do you know what I'm on about? That was one of the most fun gigs we've ever had, I think. Where it was.
I remember stage just like, I think I put my drum kit in the middle of the room. Mike dragged his amp as close to it as he could, and Christian just ran to the opposite end of the room and climbed on a speaker. We started playing, and I remember Steve Cole just like running around, like just like kind of going, "What is happening?" Like it's funny. It was funny to watch, to make Steve sort of squirm, because he's all about that kind of stuff. He's about going nuts and doing something conventional and messing with people's expectations of what a gig is. So it was funny to look back on that and think of him going mad.
Definitely. Yeah.
So where can people find you online?
Yeah, if you want to find Salt the Snail online, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, as well as like Bandcamp and Spotify, I think iTunes as well. But just be aware that there's another Salt the Snail out there. They're from Pittsburgh. They're evil. I've sounded a bit hard. The interaction we really ever had with them was them finding out we exist and them trying to get us to not exist anymore. They said they were going to send a cease and assist, some website, band names, officialbandnames.com or something. I think they've got their name registered on that.
Oh, wow.
And like Snail, to which we're a bit like, I don't think you are. I think you just paid some website to tell you that you are. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be on good terms with those guys. But yeah, we're not from Pittsburgh. It's the other Salt the Snail. Everywhere, all social media.
There was a band called Attack, wasn't there? That was a very similar thing, where there's one in Wales, and I think I might be making. There's one in America, one in Wales, and they had to put a exclamation mark at the end of the name because the other one was saying that something like that.
We actually have a band from decades ago that we'll never know called Earth to thank for the name Black Sabbath. Because I think Black Sabbath called themselves Earth when they started out, and then there was just another band called Earth that were established. So they were like, "Oh, well, we can't use that," and then came across Black Sabbath. So it doesn't always work out for the worst.
I now want to start a band called the Beatles too.
The Beatles #2.
Yeah, the Beatles 2, the sequel.
I made a music video for Salt and Snail called Junkyard Cat that you can find on YouTube. Made it a couple of months ago, and it's so story based. I want the band to write a song so that I can make a video called Junkyard Cat 2. I just really like the idea of writing a sequel to a song. You get part 2, you get like something part 2 and part 1 and part 2. That's fine, but when you
Blink
just call
did that, didn't they?
What did they call? What was that they did?
Blink have one called so at the end of I think it's Eminem of the State. They've got a song called Anthem, and then Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, track 1 is called Anthem Part 2, and those albums are back to back, if that makes sense. I think I might be getting my that's right. But I know they did something like
that. Yeah. No, you see that a lot with the Part 2, but I think a hard 2 makes it feel like a movie.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
They could do like Junkyard Cat 3, Back with a Vengeance or something. Just keep going, keep making more.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd love to. It'll probably end up like an actual movie one day.
It'd be fun if people could put all the music videos together and it be a long running story. That makes sense.
That kind of is a thing we're going for with Salt the Snail. We're not too meticulous about how we think about things like Christian and that they manage the band, but everything we do is it's a little bit ADHD. Like Christian's just coming up with stuff on the fly when we're playing live. We just it's like a band that just throws everything at the wall to see what sticks, really. But we are doing, if anyone's paid attention to all the videos we've made, including the ones that Liam's made for us, they've all got like little tie-ins throughout.
Oh, that's fun.
And people haven't seen the end of the Junkyard Cat, at least. Like, it will come back, just in some fun way.
Well, thank you for doing this, because it's been great. I'll see you soon.
Nice to meet you.
All right, It's nice to meet you.
See you soon. Cool. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care, James. Take care, Josh.
See you later.
Bye.